So I want to take you through a real life example of how I automate stuff, either for a client or for my business. So here I want to create a automation that looks through newsletters that I've published and finds new content ideas for social media. So towards the end of last year, I published 2021 newsletters via email about how I was sort of pivoting my business and kind of rebuilding it in a kind of more focused way. I think within those emails will be little snippets of ideas I could then repurpose for shorter social media posts or when I find them. Obviously I could just read through all of those emails and list them out, but I'm going to create an automation to do it for me. So I'm going to take you through kind of what I would normally do if I was creating an automation. I'd always think about the goal and then the requirements and then have some ideas and then kind of chart a process flow before I even touch any of the platforms that I could use to actually build it. Normally I would do this on pen and paper, kind of / in my head, using pen and paper to kind of get the thoughts out, but on this occasion I have written it into a Google document, obviously, so I can kind of follow along. So the first thing that I always do is define a goal. And as you can see here, this is me trying to hone in on exactly what I want. So first I thought, is it to generate ideas? And I was like, well, it's not really new things. Was it to list ideas? And I was like, well, again, it's not quite right. So I've landed on mine for content ideas from within the newsletters I've already published. The next, I kind of thought through, what's the sub goals? What are the requirements of this automation? And I was like, well, it's going to need to pull the copy out of the newsletters. It's going to then need to find snippets from within that copy. It's going to need to sort of validate them in some way. So obviously, I don't want to post content about things that aren't relevant to what I normally post content about. So for example, there was one newsletter that I wrote about when I was trying to hire a service provider. I wrote about what went wrong, what went right, sort of sales kind of was the topic, and I'm not a sales expert, so it wouldn't make sense for me to create lots of posts about sales. And then finally it needs to push the ideas to a spreadsheet or a database of some kind. I also thought, this is a useful tool for me to create because I could also use it. I've posted tons of videos in the past, and I've posted articles on my current website, my old website, on LinkedIn. So if I could kind of repurpose the automation at some point in the future, or maybe add to it to do all of that as well, then it obviously becomes a hell of a lot more powerful. So then I kind of sat and brainstormed a couple of ideas. So I came up with two kind of viable ideas. One was to create essentially what they call a custom GPT. So this it's not actually ChatGPT, it's OpenAI, but within OpenAI you can create a prompt or sort of set up an agent just within their universe. So I could basically create a knowledge base, i.e. put all of the newsletters together in one document, and then I could give that to my agent or my custom GPT, and then I could write a prompt that said, mine through this for ideas and list them out in a table when you're finished, sort of thing. I could do it that way. Another way I could do it is create a sort of an automation to cycle through the emails one by one rather than having it as a huge repository. So it could kind of list out the content from each email, list out the ideas it can find, and then put it into some kind of database. I've opted for the second one. The reason being, I think that would be easier for me to repurpose it for videos and articles and newsletters and everything else that I've produced elsewhere. Whereas the custom GPT, I think, will be harder for me I'd have to create all of these knowledge bases. Whereas theoretically, let's say I want to scrape all the videos I've got on my old website, I could then just scrape videos one by one, get the transcripts and kind of push it through the same setup-ish. I'd probably need to make a few tweaks. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build the automation to scrape through one by one. So then the next thing I usually do is, again, usually on paper, let's map out step by step what that looks like. So I need to grab each of the emails somehow. I need to rip out the content from that email, and then I need some kind of AI prompt to look at that content and kind of define ideas from it. You know, does it rip out quotes? Does it interpret it? I'm not sure yet. Then I need some kind of way of validating the ideas. So I don't, like I said before, I don't want ideas that aren't relevant to what I would normally post. So obviously I've got two options here. Either I can get it to give me everything and I choose, or I could somehow get the AI to pre-filter a little bit for me, and maybe steps 3 and 4 are one step, I don't know. And then obviously I need to push it into some kind of spreadsheet database, some kind of way of easily kind of going through it. So let's get started with the build. So what I have done already is in my email account, I have put all of the newsletters into a single folder, so I'm ready to process them. So they're all sitting there ready to go. So let's head over to make.com. So make.com is my preferred no code or low code automation platform. So let's get started with the build. So as I go back to my process map here, the first thing I need to build is how do I grab each of the emails. So how would I do that? A couple of ways I can do that. I can use an email module to search for emails within a certain folder, or I could use some kind of mail hook and forward the emails to a special address that then gets picked up by this program. I think what I'll do is I'll do the email one. So let me think, what is it? Is it watch emails? Let's see what happens here. So let's hook it up to the right account. Yeah, so this is correct. So now I'll just choose the folder and type in all of the relevant stuff. I'll fast forward this bit so you don't get bored. Okay, so that is me got something to grab the emails. Next, we want to look at scraping out the email content. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the step after that, because you can just, when I run this module, the way it works in Make, well, let's just run it. I'll just run it on one email. You can see what it does is it actually pulls out all of that detail there. So it's pulled out issue 11. And somewhere here I will have, there we go, there is the content of that email. So I've kind of already done that step anyway. And then the next is we're going to have to ask AI to kind of find some ideas. So let's get an AI module hooked up. Where are we here? So I usually start my testing with ChatGPT, or OpenAI technically is what it's called, and we want to create a completion, I think is the terminology. Yeah. So again, let's hook it up, and then basically what it's going to do is open a thing where I can create my prompts. So lots of different ways that people do prompts. In my opinion, the more detail you give it, the better it will kind of come out. So usually you want to include like a system prompt, which is kind of like context, like why do you exist, what are you doing, and then like a user prompt, which is like instructions of what to do. So what I have chosen to do to write the prompt is, rather than writing it from scratch, I'm going to actually get ChatGPT to write it for me, You can just do this from scratch, just having a conversation with ChatGPT or any of the other LLMs, or there are these, if you go into Explore GPTs, you can sort of download pre-built ones that have been trained a little bit. So this is the prompt engineer, which was the kind of most popular one. So it said to me, what do you want your prompt to be about, what you're looking to do, and I've written kind of quite a short snippet of kind of generally what I wanted to do. I haven't structured it in any way, I haven't written really nice instructions that are really clear. And then it said, okay, let's give it a try. So it's asked me to upload a newsletter, so I've copied and pasted a newsletter in, and then it said, here's some ideas from that newsletter just to see if that's the right thing. So I've particularly said to it to provide the answers in JSON format. That's just what is it? It's like a formatting of data that then I'll be able to really easily plug in to a database in the future. Obviously you don't have to do that, you could ask it to send you a table if you're not comfortable with JSON format, etc. So it's come back with a few pretty decent ideas, kind of happy with those. And so then I've said to it, that's great, can you kind of make a prompt out of this please? And it's come back and said, here's the more detailed prompt. It's given an example for it. It's told kind of what the input will be and what the kind of expected output will be. So it's kind of written the prompt for me, or at least version 1 of the prompt. So now what I can do is I can go back to my make.com and I can add in the different prompts. So I'm going to start with the user one because that's what this is. Let's see if it'll let me copy all of this. I'm not sure if it'll let me copy the code, but we'll give it a try. Here we go. Oh, it did. Okay. So I'm going to just need to kind of, it's not formatted this nicely, so I'm just going to have to, actually I can probably ask it to format it for me. Can you rewrite this in Markdown format so I can copy and paste it into yeah, so I've just asked it to write it in what's called Markdown format, which is a format that would be understood by, it's kind of like a way of doing like headings and header 1 and header 2 and header 3 in a way that is just in a text box. So let's copy that and see if that's any better than this. Boom, there it is, all nicely formatted. So I'll paste it all in and then I'll reread it and kind of make changes. What's this thing? Example input, example output. Yeah, I probably do want that, don't I? I don't know why it's not written that into no, I don't think I need that. Right, so let's go back into here. So it's going to be saying social media post ideas for newsletter copy. I wonder if I can make this bigger. So you are and it's kind of asterisk means bold. You're a world-class social media copywriter with particular talent for repurposing long-form content into engaging, bite-sized social media post ideas. Task: you will be provided with a newsletter or long-form copy. Your task is to extract key ideas and turn them into social media post concepts that can be expanded upon. Each post should be engaging, concise and tailored for the platform. LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. I'm only going to use it on LinkedIn, but I guess I can leave that. Instructions: identify key themes, insights or engaging moments in the copy, turn them into distinct social media post ideas. Each idea should include title, content tags, format your response in JSON, and it's given the JSON. That's interesting, it's given tags as well. Yeah, so I'll do that, and then what I'll do is I'll use this for version 1, and then I'll test it, and usually you have to, as you test it, you then have to add notes like don't include this, do include that, all the rest of it. We'll see what it does. So I need to also give it its input, don't I? So you will, so what should we call this? Input. How have they done it? They've done it in bold, haven't they? So let's do input copy. So here is the input newsletter copy to pull this from. So what you can do in make.com is you can pull the data from one module to the next. So as I showed you last time when we looked at, I hope that saved that. This is within text context is the entire email. So let's, yeah, good it did. So then I just want to plug in that sort of variable. So let's find it. There it is, text content. Input copy. Here's the ideas to pull from. And then I could obviously make it better than that, but let's just go with this just to see what happens. So let me run this module just to test it. It's going to ask me for an example, so let's pull the example from last time. I probably need to tell it to ignore long. I could pull out all of those. You see how it's got all of this unsubscribe, and there's like a blah 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 URL, and it's going to have lots of these gobbledygook URLs for like, yeah, there's an image and things like that. So I could, if I thought there was too many, I could scrape those out. Might do that afterwards. Let's see how it gets on with running a test. Okay, so let's have a look and see what it came out with. Are you struggling to market your business? You're not alone. Content. So is this what I want, or do I want it to, I probably want it to give me like the verbatim what I said, right? So that I can get it back to my own voice for a thing. So let's add that in. Right, so we want it to, so your task is to extract key ideas and turn them into, no it's not, so it's your task is to extract key ideas, yeah, that could be expanded upon. Each post should be engaging. Yeah, so we could leave that. So here we want, we don't just want content, we also want, let's just copy this so it's the same format, original copy, copy of the original text that prompted this idea. Okay, and then we're going to have to add into the JSON, so let's go with original, let's just call it original, easier if it's one word. So where are we? Lost my space, yeah, original, so I'm going to need to get some original examples, well crafted post that, yeah, so original, so text as it appears in the original newsletter, or oops, original newsletter or content. Let me read that again. Down here. Okay, so now let's run that module again. I'm going to need to get this back. Oh, that's a shame. So I've lost the output here, so let me just run the whole thing once. I should probably save it too, because I've not been saving it. So let's just run the whole thing once. Okay, let's see what it did this time. So have you clearly defined your problem. I was recently discovered the power of well-written problem statement. Blah blah blah. Original. This week I discovered the concept of problem statement. Brilliant. And then we probably also want it to tell us in our spreadsheet. We probably also want which email did it come from. What was the title of that email? So in theory I could go back. But actually I don't need to do that because I'll be able to pull that from here. So the question is whether I want to bother ripping out I mean, it's not very many, is it? So I could add another module that pulls out those the URLs, and I've done that before, so I could just copy and paste a module from elsewhere. If I didn't know how to do it, I could obviously go into ChatGPT and say, how would I create, they call it regex, to rip out the long URLs so that they don't appear. I'm not going to bother because it's not enough, it's not using up enough credits for me to worry about it. Okay, so I've in theory got my JSON response, and then I want to add it to a database. So what do I want to make as a database? So I think to keep life easy, let's make a spreadsheet. So now I need to figure out where I'm going to take that data and make it into a database. So I think to make life easy, let's just make a spreadsheet. Okay, so I've created a Google Sheet. So obviously the one thing, oops, let's go back to make. So what I want is I definitely want to have the things I put on here, right? So I want the title, content, original, and tags. So title, content, original, tags, and then I also want newsletter title, so I can find it easier. Newsletter title. Okay, so what else would I potentially want? Probably that's it, isn't it? I don't need. So newsletter subject line might be more appropriate. That's all I need, isn't it? I don't need anything else. So let's do subject line. I don't need this. Okay, so next I want to do add it to a Google Sheet. So I want to add a row, and let's link this all up. Title, content, original, tags. And I've forgotten that I need to get the data back out again. So, okay, so wait for a second. We need to add a module. I need to, what's it called? JSON. It's not that, it's. I need to basically, here we go, pass JSON. So I need to take the data that it's produced here as a string of JSON, and I need to So let's see what happens. Oh, didn't like that. What have I done wrong? Not valid JSON. Because I've started. I need to scrape everything. It's irritating. I need to scrape everything before the open brackets. Okay, so it's not liked the format, so now we need to. Oops, that's wrong. I don't need that. I need to add text parser. Again. Okay. Yay, so here it's pulled out the title, it's pulled out the content, the original, and the tags. So let's see what it's done to the. I've not set this spreadsheet up properly, so I shouldn't have really done anything properly. Yeah, so just the thing. Okay, cool, so we've at least got that. And then now we need to format the Google Sheet. So we want the subject, and what do we want next? Title, content, original, tags. So title, content, original, tags. How am I going to do the tags? Let's see if it does an array or not. Okay, so again, let's run this and see what happens. Let's see if it posts it into my spreadsheet. Yay. Okay, so let's see what's come up with. How do you wrap text? Yeah. So it's looked at issue 15. What you enjoy today, power of perseverance. Are you spending time on what makes you happy? Business isn't what I expected. My chief joy giver. Oh. What? I want to be a beta tester. Okay, that's obviously irrelevant. So that's pretty good. So it's given me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ideas out of one newsletter. That is hopeful. Okay, the next problem I'm going to face is at the moment I have been pushing through one newsletter at a time. When obviously I want to push them all through, and I don't want to click this 21 times. So what you need to do that is what's called a iterator. So I'm going to add a module here, iterator, and I want to iterate over each email. I wonder how I get out an email. Wonder if it would push it through. Let's actually see what happens if I don't put an iterator in. I think it would break, but let's just see if I put this to 2 and run it. Let's see what happens. Does it go through one by one or does it mess up? Oh, no, okay, I didn't need an iterator. Let's see what it's doing on my thing. So now it's done episodes issue 16 and issue 17. So that's kind of got me, obviously I can push them all through. I could, I think I'll just do it manually looking, I mean it's not that much data to look through. It feels like it'll be quite hard to, not impossible, but a lot of work for me to say what to include and what not to include. So I think what I'll do is I'll just leave it like this, let it produce a massive list for me, and then I'll just pull out the ones that I want. So all I need to do now is go back to this, save it, and get it to run through the rest of them and give me a massive list of ideas. But that's pretty cool. If it's, what's it done, what there, 1, 2, 3 issues and given me 17 potential ideas. I mean, that's that's a lot of content. Okay, so there we are. I've now ran the automation across all 21 newsletters, and it has produced, let's go to the bottom of this table, 118 ideas for me. I didn't give it any good prompting on how to write the posts, so I wouldn't use any of these posts as they are currently written. But because it's given me what the original was that I said, and it's given me things like tags, I can quite easily filter through this and decide what kind of bits I can reuse. I could then create another AI to help me with the writing, or I could just write them myself depending on the route I want to go down. But I'm pretty pleased with that. 21 issues into a potential, what was it again, 118 posts. So let's say like 50% of that is usable. That's what, 59 posts, if my maths is correct. So yeah, pretty awesome.